Well, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone tonight. My comfort zone traditionally has been poetry and creative nonfiction, but recently I entered a fiction contest where the limit was 1,000 words. Never really tried much short story writing. This particular contest, we had to choose 3 of the following 6 words, if I can remember them. Train, ice, window, which I used, and bottle, apple, and black satin sheets, which I didn't. So, the name of the story is Ring Around the Moon. It's been very surprising me to find that my fiction writing is falling into a Midwestern Gothic genre of some sort. Very interesting to me that this is happening. Interesting to me that I can even write a short story, if in fact I did. But here goes. Ring Around the Moon. Kate Dela Cruz tried to memorize every line on her mother's face as she studied it for the last time. The Alzheimer's had been a long, drawn-out nightmare compared to the brief half-hour of the memorial service just past. Kate was relieved to see the physical suffering end. The mother she and Grady had known and loved had been in the process of leaving them a moment at a time over the last 7 years. Just then Grady stepped up to the open casket to stand beside his sister. He wrapped a big brotherly arm around her shoulder, gave it a little squeeze, and quietly cleared his throat. "We need to decide what to do about the ring," he said. Kate's eyes fell on Sophie Dela Cruz's pale, wrinkled hand. The mother's ring sparkled under the soft rose-colored light that washed over the casket. She and Grady had presented the ring to their mother on her 50th birthday, which seemed like a lifetime ago. Set with a ruby signifying Grady's July birthday and an April diamond for Kate's, the ring had been Sophie's most cherished possession. She had raised her children as a single working mother when doing so was neither the popular choice nor the norm. To her, the ring was a testament to the dogged spirit of survival that enabled her to raise 2 fine young adults that she treasured more than life itself. Even as the Alzheimer's had obliterated much of her past and her personality, Sophie had insisted on wearing the ring. Even in the fairly recent stages of Sophie's care, any nurse at the rest home who had dared try to remove it was in for the battle of her life. "Let's leave it with her," Kate said. "It meant so much to her. I can't bear the thought of taking it away from her now." Grady nodded and motioned to the funeral director to close and secure the casket lid. Then, hand in hand, he and Kate took their places in the family limousine and under the canopy at the grave site. A forlorn train whistle sounded in the distance as a gentle breeze carried the minister's words skyward. The events of the day crowded Kate's mind as she drove home that evening. The physical presence of her mother, however ill she had been, was something she would sorely miss. She knew Sophie had experienced the same sense of loss many years ago when her own mother had died. In her present pensive state of mind, Kate replayed one particular story her mother had told her as her tires lapped up the blacktop and her odometer rolled off the miles toward home. On the night of her mother's burial, Sophie had said, the old farmhouse fairly brimmed with friends and family. Memories and condolences floated through the boxy, high-ceilinged rooms as Sophie and her sisters prepared the evening meal. Sophie had turned abruptly to set a hot pie fresh from the oven onto the counter nearby. As she did so, she brushed lightly against someone whose height and stature felt very familiar. "Oh, excuse me, Mom," she had said without thinking, and before turning her eyes upward to see that no one was there. No one at all. Her sisters were sitting at the table across the room. "I know it was her," Sophie had told Kate later. "I can't explain it, but I could just tell." Recalling her mother's words, Kate shivered a bit as cool night air streamed into the car through the slightly lowered window. Looking out, she could see the moon, swollen, fully round, and surrounded by a fuzzy halo. "What is it they say?" she said aloud to herself. "Ring around the moon, rain before noon." Sophie had been a believer in the folklore of the rural area where she grew up, but Kate's later, more educated generation usually put their stock in a more scientific train of thought. "Didn't I read somewhere that moon rings are actually made of ice crystals?" she asked herself before turning at last down Jetmore Drive and into her driveway. Trying to wind down, Kate was making a quick late supper out of a glass of milk and a piece of toast when the phone rang. It was Grady, and she could tell he was upset. "I was reading over Mom's will," he said, "and I can't believe this has happened." "What?" Kate asked, her senses on full alert. Grady paused, reluctant to break this news to his sister. "It says she wanted you to have the ring." "I guess it said that all the time, and neither of us really noticed." "Well, Grady, we've had so much to think about," Kate said in an effort to console her brother. "It's okay, really. I feel fine about the ring being where it is. Don't blame yourself for this." Grady seemed somewhat relieved. The siblings agreed to meet the following week to discuss their mother's estate matters, and Kate fell exhausted into bed. At some point in the middle of the night, Kate was vaguely aware that a storm was blowing through. The lace curtains on her bedroom window were horizontal as the wind whistled through straight from the north. "Ring around the moon," she mumbled sleepily. "I guess it's true." When she awoke again later, the storm had abated, and the lace curtains were still. Although she didn't remember it, Kate realized she must have gotten up earlier to close the window. The light of the moon, bright again, spilled in and illuminated the dresser top across the room. Its rays caught something there that twinkled in the moonlight. For a split second, Kate wondered what the object could be. What could I have left on the dresser, she wondered. She watched as the moonbeams created a slideshow of alternating pinks and soft whites. Then, suddenly, she knew. Ooh.